Hey there, this is Wendy, and this has been one of those crazy days that nothing has quite gone the way that it's supposed to go. So I apologize, I'm still trying to figure out this YouTube live stuff. In fact, I'm trying to figure out all of the social media live stuff. It's starting to make me feel a little bit old. But here we are. So just take a moment to take a deep breath and exhale. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And begin to bring your awareness into this present moment. Donald Trump wrote a book about winning the game of negotiation and the art of influence, if you will. And I've really been thinking a lot about this over the past year. And as I think about the leaders who are the greatest leaders that I know, I see so many common threads in the emotional intelligence level of them, in the integrity, in the empathy and compassion that they share in their leadership. And it got me thinking about integrity. I think if we're going to live from a place of integrity, we really have to start at the very basic. And this took me back to a concept that I learned in my first yoga teacher training called ahimsa. The definition, the traditional definition that I learned back then was nonviolence in thought, word, and deed. And I remember thinking, nonviolence in thought, word, and deed. Well, I'm not really violent in my thoughts. In fact, I typically considered myself a pacifist, especially way back then. And yet something inside of me said, pay attention to those thoughts. And so I did over the course of the next week, and I was pretty horrified at what I discovered, that I was so incredibly mean to myself in the way that I talked to myself, in the way that I thought about myself. There was clearly a tremendous amount of self-loathing. And I thought, well, but it stops with me. I don't treat other people like that. In fact, if I treated anybody the way that I treated myself, I wouldn't have any friends. But again, something told me, pay attention. And what I realized was that my self-loathing rippled out into passive-aggressive behavior, into unachievable levels of high expectations, into criticisms and judgments. Cattiness, really, is what it was. It spread into withholding love, withholding my attention, treating people very separate from myself, and looking at the duality of good, bad, right, wrong, and always trying to fall on the positive side of that, which meant that somebody else had to fall on the negative side of it. And so all of this was contained with this ever-present low-grade anger. And sometimes that was able to be contained, and sometimes it wasn't. And it took a really long time of recognizing that the quality of my relationships that hadn't been at the level that I really desired them to be at was because the quality of the relationship to myself pretty much sucked. So I had to go within and figure out how to be able to like myself and then move into loving myself. And sometimes it was a lot easier to do the reverse of that. Many years later, I learned a new definition of ahimsa. And it's reverence and compassion for all beings. At that level of ahimsa, it is a recognition that the same divine energy in me is in everyone. And although I may not agree with or like or even accept their words, their actions, there is a connection between us. And if I separate myself from my love from their love, then I'm separating from my love too. And so I can hold a space of love and be able to set the boundaries around what is acceptable and appropriate behavior and what isn't. So if somebody is acting inappropriately or hurtful, I first remember that that is a person too, and I don't really know what's going on in their life. It's hard to know what's going on in our own being most of the time, 100%, right? We do these crazy things sometimes and we think, where'd that come from? So I try to come to a place of just recognizing that divineness within them. And then I can say, hey, that wasn't okay. The way that you spoke to me or the way that you acted was hurtful or harmful in this way. And what I would really like is, and to be able to state what I really want, whether that's an apology or a change in behavior or just an understanding of what's really going on and how do we come to a healthier place together. So my Mindful Monday inspired action for you is to really look at that newer definition of ahimsa, the reverence and compassion for all. And start with yourself. Over the next week, look at how you treat yourself. Are you treating yourself with reverence and compassion? Or are you pushing yourself and criticizing and judging yourself? And then start to pay attention to how you treat other people, especially those who are really, really challenging. And I know we got plenty of them in our lives. But also look at how you treat the people that you like and love, those people who are closest to you. Do you treat them always with compassion and reverence, or do you just expect that they'll be there when you need them and let that relationship slip just a little bit? Something to be mindful of. But here's the thing. When we start turning inward and we start creating a shift within our own being, that starts to ripple out. And it ripples out and it ripples out and it ripples out. Just like if we were closed off and judgmental and hurtful to ourselves, that's going to ripple out into how we see other people in the world. So would love to hear your experience with this. Please leave a comment below and let me know. And if you would, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications, because every Monday we have the Mindful Monday, which is a talk just like this, and it's always on the theme for the week, as well as the Wisdom Wednesday, which is the yoga and mindfulness practice for leaders like you. Thank you for being patient with me as I'm learning all of this. I hope that you get something out of it. And also check out the blog. This goes into the next level in terms of having empathy in order to win at the Art of Influence. Infinite love and gratitude, and until next time, be whole.